Evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge led by Councilmember Dustin Swear.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Doyle,
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez. Present. Councilmember Marlon Lewis.
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard.
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter.
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry.
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 1 is public comment. Do we have any public comment cards?
No, sir.
Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on. Silence your cell phones, please, and we'll move on to item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes of the December 4th, 2018 meeting as published on December 13th, 2018.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Lewis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Broussard. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Item 3, Madam Clerk.
First is to address the council. We have Pastor Zachary Mitchell with an update for plans for the coming year with Taking the City initiative.
Well, good evening, illustrious council. I've used the same adjective to describe Councilman Guidry, but it's a grand time to be before you. We just thank you. I kind of feel like I've been away for a while, but it's all good. Glad to be with you. So honored that you'd have me. I have given you a handout. If you can grab a hold of it, the front of it says Taking the City Initiative. And I'll get this up and going. Now, I've been told that I have 25 minutes, but I'll only take about 7. Okay, but all seriousness, we are just so grateful for 2018. 2018 was a banner year, and we look forward to what's ahead of us. Next year we really don't know what is going to happen. We do have a plan. Of course, God has a plan also, and we want to line up with what He has, but we have a plan we formulated and asked Him about it, and this is the plan that He's given us. And it's the Taking the City initiative, and our goal is follow-up. We've done a lot of on-the-ground work. I mean, we did the all-night prayers. We did the boots on the ground, and we did the various different things and the crusades and the camps, etc. We did all those things in 2018, and that established a lot of mandates for us. And since life continues, we can't quit. One of the motivational things for us here in the future for 2019 is to go forward. That's a word. And naturally, I'm a pastor, so it's based on the Word of God. If you want to follow after that, look at Exodus 14:15, where the people of Israel was hemmed in on either side by mountains and the Red Sea, and the enemy coming behind them. And what does God tell them? Go forward. And so we're going forward in 2019, and so we're going to follow up of what we did for those times, and we have 3 strategies. The first one, number 1, is to train ministers, community leaders, evangelists, counselors to pastor their communities through a 9-month foundations class. We're looking for people that have a heart for their community, and they want to give back to their community. They've been They've been waiting for an opportunity to do something in their community to make a difference. And this is going to be an opportunity for them. You may have people in your own churches that desire to be interested in this. And so we are looking forward for this class to begin. And as we call it foundational training, it's going to be essential for our communities so that in all areas everybody would speak the same thing. There is a cry in our land to unify. There's also a cry in the churches to unify. And so we must do those things that bring us together and not divide us. And so that's strategy one. Strategy two is to take and have this group of people that will go through that 9-month course. There will be a graduation, cap, gowns, and etc. This will be a certified event, and we will disperse these leaders to train and raise up small groups in our community in these 6 districts that we have already visited. And we still have the mandate to attack those areas that we know we've had problems in. Not so much just neglecting the other areas, but we're looking at this thing expanding over a period of time. And so we want to graduate and disperse these leaders according to the mandate of Acts chapter 1, the book of Acts chapter 1, verse 8. And we're dispersing them to the world. This word tells us you'll receive power. After that, the Holy Ghost has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses. See, this is a key element to anybody that know anything about legal things. A witness is somebody that gives what they saw. But it makes us a witness unto, first of all, it says Jerusalem, but New Iberia. Okay? Let's substitute that in there. Judea. Let's just say Iberia Parish. Let's say in Samaria. Let's say that's Louisiana. And then it says to the uttermost parts of the earth. So we're not just looking to pastor and raise up our community. This is a long-range vision, and we're looking to really take this to our community first of all. Because when you focus, the broader your focus is, the more you get an invite of people coming in to be a part of something good. I don't know anybody that has a desire to want to link up with something that's bad, or something that's failing, or something that's going in the wrong direction, unless they have a sense of going in the wrong direction in themselves. Everybody wants to do something with something that's going somewhere. And so dealing with this strategy, number 2, we see that it is going to bring unity and fellowship among our community. It's going to make connections to the needed resources. One of the things in our neighborhood is we keep, on one hand, crying that our neighborhoods, that our community doesn't have certain things. And then we see, when we look at all the programs, we have all these programs. The problem with it is that it's not connected. And now a lot of people are gaining a heart. I said in a meeting today, and that was strictly what it is. Bring those resources to the community that need, and connect these programs together so people know what's available in our community. We have a great community that has some great people doing some great things, but everybody needs to know about it and connect together. So we look forward to that. These leaders that we're going to disperse is going to be raising up these small groups, and this is a better atmosphere for them to participate and share in and to discuss their problems. Sometime in a large group they won't do that. Also, it's going to help us identify and meet needs spiritually, physically, mentally, and economically. And so it also is going to allow us to disciple all new believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, and to assimilate them into the various churches in our area. One statement was made: before kingdoms change, men's hearts must change. And that is so critical to happen. And then 7, train people in evangelism, to have many crusades where they are. We're not trying to do it all. We're trying to get as many people that want to be involved and to change this community, and there are many. We're giving them a platform to be a part. And then the last strategy, which is strategy number 3, we call it the New Iberia. And then we also talk about the New Iberia Police Department of walking with them and sharing with them to bring within our community policing. We're looking at putting a pastor on the ground in specific areas with our city police department that will begin to attack the community policing pack in our neighborhoods. And we're looking at going door to door with the pastors, with their congregations, in a boots on the ground type situation of sharing and bringing trust to our community. I think this is going to be critical. You can't do it any other way. We can get on television, radio, and talk all we want. The people are looking for action, and this puts action on the ground. And so we will look at sharing with our community resources, empowering them, and this empowerment and et cetera is going to create relationships with our police department as well as our community. And getting down here to the end, we're looking to bring resources to the table that's in our community. There's feeding programs in our community. There's rehab centers, and they're beginning and want to expand and want to connect together. Our homeless shelters, we know we need more than what we have. We're partnering with those that have those, as well as job training and really investing legitimately into our young people. There are a lot of opportunities out there to teach our young people about business. We want to bring it and put it on ground level so they can reach it. You know, if you want your child to get something off the shelf, you don't put it on the top shelf, put it on the bottom shelf where they can reach it. And that's what we have to make available to our community. And so we would also want to do the resources and mentorship programs. And this is a fact. Those who receive mentorship are more likely, to see improved academic, social, and economic skills and prospects. And those who mentor are able to build important leadership and management and creative skills. So we are thankful for the opportunity. We look forward at this program, putting it on the ground. This is just a short detail of it. I am available, as well as my illustrious director here, to discuss any details, etc. I want to leave you with the one thing. I always kind of leave you with something. I just want to tell you that this is a grand opportunity. Just as we have taken, and I say we because I thank God for the mayor that he included us in, we have taken the opportunity of putting a police department on the ground. We do not want to let this opportunity pass. It's a grand opportunity for our community. A quick illustration of that is, young boy saw this girl, and she was beautiful. Found out she was a farmer's daughter. Found out where the farmer lived and went out to the farm, talked to the farmer and said, hey, I want to marry your daughter. She's beautiful and I can take care of her, I can do all that. Farmer looked him up and down, told him, come over here, come over here. He made him stand in the middle of a field and he says, now this is what I want you to do. I'm going to go to the barn and I have 3 bulls in the barn. He said, if you can catch just one of those tails, just one, so you can marry my daughter. So he's standing in the middle of the field, kind of shaking a bit. Barn doors open, and I'm telling you, fierce animals looking at it, And he looked at that bull, he said, there's no way I can do this. So he stepped to the side and let the bull run out the back gate. He said, the next one's got to be something I can deal with. Just when he said that, the barn doors opened again, and it was impossible. This thing was bigger, meaner looking, pawing the ground, ready to take him out. He said, I'm not going to touch him. There's no chance. He said, I got one more shot, and this next one has got to be something that I could handle. And just when he said that, the barn doors opened, there it was. The most gentlest, weakest looking bull you could ever find. He started smiling and he started daydreaming. that girl is mine. I got this one. So he positioned himself as the bull started running toward him to grab the tail. Now, what do you think happened? He positioned himself and he leaped for the tail, and the bull didn't have a tail. What is that? What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is, sometimes we look at opportunities and they're too hard, and we wait for the next one. And the next one is just as hard, and we think in our mind something easy is going to come along. No, you better take the opportunities before you. And this one is before us, and we are going to take it. Thank you so much. Any questions? Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? Resolutions.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental intergovernmental agreement with sewage district number 1 of Iberia Parish for repairs to existing fasteners, piping, and fittings located at the headworks serving the Teep Bayou wastewater treatment plant.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Gidry and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do we have any discussion or any questions on this item?
I got a question, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
That's the plant that we said we're gonna have 50% by the city and 50%
Yes.
by, is it 60,000 to 50, or that's the total project?
The total?
So we be paying 30,000?
Yes.
Now, I saw, normally you don't see this, but it looked like they were replacing PVC pipe with iron pipe. Normally you replace iron pipe with PVC.
Well,
I just saw that was,
I guess not in the sewer world. Let's get our director up. Vince?
and I said the plant itself?
It is. The piece of PVC pipe that's there now serves the septic haulers that dispose their products at the plant. The pipe was just kind of put in jury rig, should I say, and it's served this day. It really needs to be placed with cast iron pipe, something solid.
So this is only the pipe that the people come and dump their sewer in?
That's the only piece of PVC.
Oh, so we're replacing only that with this $60,000?
No, no, no.
Okay, that's
That's the only piece that's gonna be.
okay.
That's not.
Do you want me to describe it a
No,
little bit?
I got it.
Okay, good.
I'm about to say what?
No.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions, discussion? Seeing none, please vote your machine. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 4B.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental intergovernmental agreement with sewage district number 1 of Iberia Parish for repairs to the existing motor control center serving the Teep Bayou wastewater treatment plant.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Swear. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Broussard. Do we have a discussion on this item?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I talked to Vince about it. They had someone call me, they wanted to be able to bid on this project, and he said it'd be a couple months before something bid. So
Okay.
we're not accepting anything. I think they misread.
Yeah, no, this is just a resolution to
Yeah.
get the ball rolling.
Right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote your machine. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 4C.
Resolution adopting the provisions of Act 270 of the 2018 Louisiana Regular Legislative Session relative to providing policies prohibiting sexual harassment.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, 4D.
Resolution accepting the National Trust Preservation Fund grant in the sum of $5,000 from the Suzanne Turner Preservation Fund for Louisiana to match local funds to help support the Urban Redevelopment Master Plan downtown, and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents in connection therewith.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Guidry and Councilwoman Ledbetter. Thank y'all. I'm going to let Paul Allen and Jane talk about this. As you know, we have a little grant team, which is comprised of Paul Allen, David Allen, Jane, and myself. And we are very active with grants, and this is another little grant that we turned up. So I'll let them tell us about it. Paul? Jane? One of you.
Well, we applied for this grant through the National Trust. Actually, the National Trust
offered the grant, and it's extremely competitive with communities throughout the country. So we were thrilled. It's not a whole big pot of money, but it certainly is significant to our community, we think, and the competition was way up there.
So I want to equate this to a batting practice. Everybody's hitting a bunch of fly balls. So we've been hitting a lot of fly balls. And sometimes these balls become home runs, which means we get a grant. And sometimes they fall short, and we don't. But the whole process of the number of balls that are in the air are tremendous. There are a lot of things happening. And so what we're trying to do is to figure out a strategy. Maybe use this as a tool, because every time we write a grant, we're looking to try to provide the grant, the sponsor, information about exactly what direction we're going. So there's a little illustration in front of you, and it's also in your packet. This is sort of just a small microcosm of what's been going on and some of the projects that are going on downtown. It picks up the Pocket Park, it picks up the kayak launch, it picks up development of the George Rodriguez Park. These are elements that are occurring within the district, the historic district, the commercial historic district, which was just created last year. I think that's Ms. Guidry's district, yes. And so what we want to do is connect the residential and the commercial districts together. We want to do it in the forms of walking paths with wayfinding signs. We also want to have bike paths, which are developed through those districts. We also want to talk about preservation. We want to preserve the district so that the opportunities for the credits that people want to take advantage of can be properly identified. We want to provide the visitors who want to navigate the district signage and identification markers that say what is the district and provide some history in case someone's not available to walk into the district. It's kind of a self-guided tour, which is important. We also want to use this as a tool for the legislative delegation. Besides yourselves, who are legislators, there are state and federal legislators who need to know what's going on in this district. And that's why the Historic Preservation group decided to fund this project, is because it's important to identify that and to provide the information not only to the delegation, because they will know how to properly lobby and legislate and provide funding for these projects that are going to be developed out. And also it's important for the public to know about this, the general public, to know how their dollars are being spent and what direction the mayor and you as a council are taking the city. So as we go through this process, we're going to develop a series of these presentation boards that you're looking at right here. Probably for the historic district, we may actually end up with 3 of them because there's so much information. On the residential, we may end up with a couple of them, but we'll have an overall board that shows what's going on between the 2 districts. Now, there's also other elements that kind of come into the district that we're going to try to identify with respect to maybe traffic circulation, parking, things like that. So we think it's a wonderful opportunity. You know, it's not a lot of money, but I think it's enough money to try to at least gather the information to put the glove around those fly balls that are in the air, because like I said, there are so many of them. And so, you know, we're kind of excited because we've been talking about this since Freddie took office, about a master plan and trying to get some information together. And so, you know, I'm certain like the Wakefield plaque that was recently put up. It's an important element to identify maybe on this plan, as well as some other plaques that are out there. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We're happy to get the grant, and we look forward to providing some information for the council to review in the future. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, I got one question. Who was Susan Taylor or Turner? Who was Susan Turner? Anybody know?
Suzanne?
Suzanne Turner?
She is the party associated with the National Trust who set up this fund.
Okay.
It's a special kind of an endowment foundation, and it's in her name.
Okay.
Any further items? And I'd just like to add that this is the beginning. Once we get this, think of downtown as the hub. Downtown is for everybody. It's the hub of our city. It's the flagship. When people come and visit us, when people come downtown, when tourists come, that's where they come. The money, especially this money that was National Trust money, well, that's what it's set up for. That's what they do. They fund things in historic districts. They're all about preservation. They're all about history. My plan with this amount of money, it's $5,000, but with this money is to develop this out, which is tying all our grants together, which is beginning to show where we're heading. Well, then that's the hub. What I want to do after that is branch out, even if we as a council have to come up with some money to kind of do some ancillary areas, other areas of town, and start linking it all together. What I'm hoping to do is show the impact that these dollars will have, how this is going to increase our grants, increase the ability to sell our community, and then branch off from there. And we as a council, I well might come to y'all and say, I can't find a grant for this area. You know, would you put up $5,000? In other words, we're going to have to invest, but on these people's nickel, we get to start to tell the story and get to show how a master plan can be effective in obtaining more grants. Bragging about the ones you got, linking the ones you have together, showing you're a winning team, and then from there, I think it's important to continue this in other areas of town. So be prepared that this is going to work, and I'm certain this is going to be successful. And then what I want to do is look at other areas in all of our districts where we can begin to do some little mini master plans and start looking for those grant dollars. Or if we have success with something in another area, again, being able to parlay that into something even bigger. So this is the beginning of a new way of thinking. A lot of governments do spend $100,000 doing a master plan, then it goes sit on a shelf. Okay, we spending $5,000 where we're already having successes, so we're not wasting money and daydreaming. It's already happening. We're linking that together, getting some success off of that, and then my plan is to go into other areas to where maybe we'll have spent $25,000 or $30,000 by the time we're done, but we're gonna have something to show for it. It's a living, breathing thing, and it's moving around town and doing what it needs to do, which is make us successful and grow a community. Okay, Dustin.
You made a good point. You know, we're starting small, but as time goes on and more, hopefully more grants become available, we get support from the public to where when the time do happen to where we don't have a grant available, the public supports us and as a council of coming up with the funds.
Correct.
And this is a great starting point to show them that we are doing something with the minimal amount of dollars that we have. We're getting something done, and it's going to lead to those bigger, better things. So thanks for bringing that up.
Thank you, Cat Daddy. Sharon.
I just want to say I agree with the mayor, and we have the great potential here to be one of the most powerful, really, hub economic engine if we utilize our resources properly. And you know, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's a start. And I like the idea of being able to do like a self-guided tour with the signage and other things that would be put in place. So I think we have great potential here, and I agree with Mr. Dustin as well. If our citizens would also get behind it, we could also continue to branch out and do in other areas of town.
Councilman Lewis, be patient.
Seems like years ago, and Ms. Jane and yourself may be able to, didn't we have a master plan?
Sure.
We
Well,
have two,
there
three.
was one in 2004 that was written for the entire community. And while I don't want to say that it wasn't used, I don't think that it was ever used to its fullest potential because, you know, of the way that it was written and the information that was within, and, you know, there are many reasons.
We actually do pull some components of that master plan out for some of our grant writing. So it's not a wasted item, it's just very, very ambitious and very expensive.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how much public input they got on that grant. It just, not to be critical, it was another administration, and you know, they fulfilled their obligation. But we're trying to do something probably a little bit more hands-on. I think that's the goal. I did talk to Senator Fred Mills, and he was excited to hear about the idea of this. He says, please give us a copy. We legislate, we want to know what's going on. We can get dollars, but you got to let us know what's going on. And we had the Lieutenant Governor, his grant writer, come down to visit with us, and he was very motivated about what we're doing and the direction and how many more things that could be out there. Gave us some great offer some advice for us. Very exciting. So that's the thing, is to get that networking set up, to get those state officials and those federal officials to be able to get in their offices and make those connections. And this information is exactly what we need for that.
And look, I like this. It's a realistic master plan is what I'm hearing. But what I have to remember, you got to remember, I represent a district that historically has been left behind in the master plan. In the master plan, it historically has been left behind. So we're playing catch up in terms of what we want. You know, we have to know what we want. And there's a group of people that kind of know what they're looking for, but do not know how to get it. You know, and I think Zach shared something about the many programs, but not connecting with the people. And basically as a liaisons for the underserved community, I feel obligated to always bring up the question, is the West End community in the master plan, and how soon will this plan be heading our way? Because I understand
Well,
we
and I can answer partly. You know, there were 2 master plans done of West End some time ago. And the information that was generated in those plans, while it may not be up to date, and certainly can be, you know, used as a guide, similar to what we're doing with this master plan, to take us to another level. And so that's the plan, is this district connects to the West End district. And so that would be the logical place to begin expanding, and we've already talked about that.
Well, that's where I was saying that we would pick up with this. What I told y'all from the very beginning was, I'm gonna go where the money is. I'm gonna go where I can easily find grant money. It hasn't been easy, it's been a lot of work, but where there at least was some opportunity. And the opportunity to start is all of these projects that we
Yeah.
keep talking about in funding, that they call us and say, hey, come, you know, apply for this money, or the Lieutenant Governor's office says, I've got these funds, or it's some program we've already participated in. That's the easier part, because the funding is there. Even in a bad economy, there is money for that. But that's where I'm talking about, that we're branching out after we prove that this is successful, and I come back and say, I need $5,000 to do the West End community, or I need $5,000 to do the corridor of Admiral Dahl or Center Street, or I need $5,000, you know, not all at once. I need $5,000 to do something on this side of the bar, or wherever. What my hope is that we prove we're successful with this. Then the community says, well, I don't mind. Because what happens if you just say, I need $100,000 to do a master study, there's more than one in that vault. There's 3 or 4 of them stacked up in there that
there
never
are.
produced. I'm not being ugly. I'm not talking about anything, singling out anything. They never produced any projects. We're producing projects, you know, currently with what Paul has done really on his own, and what we've begun to put together in my office. So I think that once we show, hey, this is the track record and this is where we're spending your money. Remember, it's a 20% match for most of this. So we put up 20, we get 80. So, you know, we put up 20 grand to get 80, we spend 100. That is being a good steward of our tax dollars. So once we tell that story and prove it, and for me, prove it to the community we serve, that we all serve, they're going to be very much less resistant to say, I don't mind you taking $5,000, because you're going to probably produce something because you already have. So then we take $5,000, we do one in the West End. We take $5,000 with an idea for some business, more future business development. Let's say the property that we own where we're not going to build a civic center. That 10 acres that we have to entice that property and get some development there. We might come to you and say, we need $3,000 to put a study together and a marketing package together, because that could bring some businesses. We could get a few big boxes, which are jobs and taxes and quality of life issues, or in the West End. So those kind of things, I think we're heading there. And this is a much more grassroots approach and a much more hands-on, and really it's your hands that own it. Because what my plan is, you've supported all of these, and we've done this as a team. Well, when we start branching out, you know, I need you to be that voice of the people you represent and say, this is what, you know, we need. And you're going to come and you're going to get involved, or, you know, each council person is going to be able to get involved for their district, because if anybody knows what their district needs, it's each one of you. You know, I'm the whole city, Dan has the whole city. We have a good idea, but we're all boots on the ground in a different way. by linking that together, that's why this little bit of money we spend is so important, because when we continue to do that, we're going to start addressing everybody's needs.
And one more comment.
Sure.
Look, I love New Iberia, and I love the whole New Iberia. So what we're doing on Main Street and downtown, I love to see that happen. Saturday night, me and my girlfriend, we went out to a Christmas party, and we had done passed up Main Street. We was going to a Christmas party. I said, let's go down Main Street and see the Christmas lights. It makes sense, and it was nice. And that's what I want. That's what I want our community to understand. That the whole community, you know, this community is being built up for the whole community. You know, support us as we build downtown, as we build the areas that bring economic development and bring tourist dollars and all of those things. So support us in those efforts, but also let us be on standby for when we're finished building up downtown. You know, because I'm gonna tell you, 30 years ago you didn't see a black couple walking down Main Street holding hands. You see that now. So things are changing. You know, and I definitely want to be a part of the change with this council, and I think we're on the right track. But I just cannot, how they say, lest we forget. Lest we forget.
I understand. We all have different districts and different people to represent, and we got to represent them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mo.
Yeah, we're talking about a master plan for downtown, and any plan you can always make adjustments to it. You can add to it, you can take away, because it's supposed to be a workable plan. And I understand what you're saying. We're going to start here, and then we're going to branch out. So we're going to add to the plan and get more buy-in from our different communities to be behind us, to show that we have been successful in one area and then take it somewhere else. So just building upon that plan, I think, is a real good idea for New Iberia.
Thank you.
I think it's important to know that when you do that, you're beginning to develop networking. Networking is critical in government and getting grants and funding. It just allows for you, they know that you're at a professional level when you go to their office and you ask for those dollars, that it makes sense that you can actually be successful. And that's our goal, is to get to that level. I mean, this is a very competitive grant on the national level. And Ray Scriber with the Main Street program said, great job. And I said, Jane, that's just what we're doing. But I'm not, I'm just, you know, it's good that they're acknowledging what's going on, so.
You know,
Yes, Ben.
me and the mayor had the opportunity of going to Jeff Bobby's show and sitting there for an hour.
Yeah,
looking out the
together. That was
window.
pretty fun.
Yeah, but it's amazing how many people do go downtown that are tourists, that needs a simpler way to show off what we have and what they can do. You see, I mean, I'm really amazed how many people do go downtown as tourists, but they kind of like don't know where to go. They kind of lost. You can tell them they trying to stop where to go here, where, and something such as this, the simpler you make it, the easier it is for them to be comfortable in a situation. I just think it. You remember you started a Red Dot tour?
That's coming. We actually got a grant to bring that back.
Okay, you remember that?
Yeah,
So
we got another
what you doing
grant.
with all the Red Dots, but it did make a pattern of what we had to offer these buildings. And I just think it's a great thing, and people don't really appreciate it till it happens. You know, thank God y'all have the ideas and Freddie to make this happen, because like you said, the opportunity is very slim to get these grants, and this is something that can be here forever. So thank you.
Building relationships with funding agents.
Yes,
That's important.
thank you.
Any further discussion? Thank y'all very much. I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank y'all. That's the most we ever talked about $5,000 yet.
That's for when we get the 5 million.
That's right, bro. All good stuff. All right, Madam Clerk, item 5.
MS4 stormwater presentation, a presentation by Mr. Jimmy Landry with Permits and Inspection Department and Mr. Leroy Landry with the Public Works Department to educate the council, City of New Iberia residents, and local businesses about stormwater pollution prevention.
Good evening, y'all. Educate and entertain.
All right, I'm lost.
Take a little box.
Which one?
Right there. There you go.
Thank you.
All right, we were mandated by the state to have some programs. When it rains, it drains. An overview of the City of New Iberia's new stormwater management plan. Let's talk about what stormwater is and why it can be a problem in our community. What our community is doing to manage stormwater and how these activities will benefit us. What is stormwater? Rain events, snow melt, and other surface runoff and drainage. Where does stormwater go in our community? Travels overland, carried through municipal separate storm sewer system, discharges into Bayou Teche, T-Bayou, Armco Canal, Commercial Canal, Rodere Canal, Peoples Canal, and Weiss Canal. Why is stormwater a problem? Decrease in quality as a result of activities on the land. For example, stormwater becomes a problem as a result of development as it accumulates pollutants that collect on the ground. Problem 2, increase in quality and speed of stormwater runoff as a result of developed and disturbed land, which can result in flooding. Stormwater problem number 3, non-stormwater discharges and systems. Cause illicit discharges. Any discharge into a stormwater drain that is not composed entirely of stormwater. For example, motor oil, grass clippings, sediment, pet and animal waste, pool water, etc. Another cause is illicit connections. Any unpermitted process wastewater connected to the storm drain. Stormwater pollutants. Sediment, nutrients, bacteria, oxygen demand, oil and grease, trace minerals, toxic chemicals, chlorides, thermal impacts. Now here are some photos of illicit discharge. See the grass clippings on the right? Last year we started sending out letters to people that would, we get complaints, them cutting their grass and going into the streets. Here's a parking lot with an oil leak. That goes to the storm drain, goes straight to the bayou. More grass clippings. Litter. Have y'all ever been to the Armco Pond? See all the little white cups by the pumps? That does damage to our pumps. We need to keep the litter collected. Storm drain. Here's one I found in town. It's in a subdivision. It was a drainage catch basin. People were pouring grease in it. Here's flooding. We know about stormwater and its impacts on our community, but what are we doing about it? Stormwater permit program for small communities. New federal regulation requires a permit for our community. We had one in 2015 or 16, and this year we're going to have to renew it in 2019. The City of New Iberia created a state permitting program to meet the federal regulation. What does our permit require? Implement a stormwater management program. Track progress toward goals. Report on our progress to DEQ on an annual basis. These are some of the things that we do with our stormwater program. Public education, construction site runoff management, illicit discharge detection and elimination, public involvement, post-construction stormwater management, good housekeeping, and pollution prevention. Public education and outreach. The city of New Iberia has distributed educational materials to the residents, schools, and commercial businesses. Storm water pollution and new flyers are being provided to the residents, schools, and businesses. Here is a picture of the flyer that we sent out to a lot of the schools in the city, and I think the parish sent a similar flyer to the schools in the parish. How will our stormwater program benefit our community? Expected benefits of our stormwater program: enhanced fishing, enhanced opportunities for recreation, reduced flood damage, drinking water benefits, navigational benefits, reduced illness, and enhanced aesthetic value. How can you get involved? Participate as a community in the prevention of stormwater pollution. Pass on information about the stormwater program to other community residents. Report any stormwater issues to the city of New Iberia by calling 337-369-2300 or by the city website. There's an attitude survey at thecityofnewiberia.com. This is one of the projects that Miss Sherry did, the Titan Right Initiative Cleanup Block Party. She did that during the year. For more information, visit the City of New Iberia's webpage, Department of Public Works. Review this new stormwater ordinance at cityofnewiberia.com or the library municodes.com. Chapter 26 is the ordinance that y'all adopted just maybe a month ago. Any questions?
All right, Sam?
Jimmy, when a commercial business come in and they have some kind of retention pond, you know, depending on, to hold some of that water before it gets to our drainage system, how do they come up to decide if that business needs a retention pond or not?
Well, right now in our ordinance, the structure has to be over 10,000 square feet. And then we also look at other issues with public works and drainage to see if they really need a retention pond or not. It depends on the area in town.
The structure has to be 10,000 or the square footage?
That sends it to planning and zoning, and they have to automatically do a drainage study.
So it has anything to do with the amount of parking lot they have? Or
No.
just the building?
Just the building.
Just the building.
Because the big building triggers the parking at 200 per square foot or whatever the
Yeah.
ratio is, you're gonna end up with a lot of parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whenever someone comes in and wants to do a business, or build a business, it has to be over 10,000 square foot before they go to planning and zoning to see about that?
Yeah.
Anything below that, they don't need?
Not necessarily, it depends where it's at.
Okay.
If there's flooding issue like on Jefferson
In other words,
Terrace.
like, we'll look at, they'll look at
Almost
department
every
heads and
building on
analyze the
Jefferson Terrace
situation.
has a retention pond.
And how often do we inspect those ponds when they overgrow to come back and make them
That's
clean?
something me and
up?
Freddie have been talking about, we trying to look into, we don't have anything in the ordinance.
We don't have an ordinance, and we're looking at possibly getting an or looking into that, because they silt up. And
Yeah, I
then
know.
they're not holding
Or
the
they
water they
overgrow.
could be.
Right. Okay. That's all I was wondering about.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Are we finished numbering the drains throughout the city and just marking them? I know we was in a process of doing that when we first took office. Are we still working on that?
We're still working on it. We
Okay,
have the
because I seen
majority
some
of them
numbers on
marked on the
some
map.
drains. Mhm,
We have the majority marked on the map.
mhm.
We still have some updating to do.
Okay, and do we have in place a prevention program for our city, like for storm, or so like, let's say before a hurricane or after a hurricane, or just once a year we go around cleaning drains section by section, or we have not quite put that in place yet?
Since we implemented the maps of the drains,
Okay,
I'm on the second round in the city.
okay,
But I call it, can work. That's what it's doing constantly.
okay.
You know, if it's not broken, it's constantly clean and drain.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any further discussion? And remember, this was all mandated. We passed this ordinance just a month ago because it was mandated by the state. This is things that are required, and actually this tonight is meeting one of the requirements as part of the educational piece. This was an economical way to add to that. And I have to thank, besides y'all, I have to thank Maxine. Maxine has taken this bull by the horns from the beginning, from writing the ordinance through every part and piece of it. Somebody had to take over. We don't have the staff to, we don't have the money to hire somebody. If you remember, we talked about maybe partnering with the parish and hiring that fell through. It didn't work out right now because they don't have the financing for it, so they're doing the same thing. But Maxine has been invaluable on this. This is something that she took home. She worked weekends. It has been a bear to get this under control. We feel we have it under control now, but it's going to be a constant thing. It is something that when you read all the requirements, there's money will be coming to you for in the future of infrastructure we're going to need. There's more advertising pieces or educational pieces. It's got a lot of components. It was forced on us. You know, we're doing it, but it's not cheap. Yes, sir.
Jim, sound like I heard you say that littering can be a problem, or maybe becoming a problem,
Well, it
especially at
is.
the Armico Canal.
Well, it is.
Okay.
All of your litter, when it hits the ground, it goes somewhere.
Okay.
It goes into storm drains, it goes into catch basins, and Armco, I use the Armco because it's a prime example, everybody can see it.
Okay.
Look at all the little white specks in it, that's litter. That comes from the streets on Hopkins and St. Jude and all over.
I got you.
T-Bayou, if you go down T-Bayou, you're gonna see cups and everything along the edges of T-Bayou. That comes from that end of town, that goes out. Commercial Canal has a bunch. That comes from Center Street, all the way out.
So it's just for that.
It's not just one area,
I
you know,
understand.
that's,
It can even be in your yard. And if the water flows through your yard, that cup's gonna move and get out in the drain and go.
washing your car in your driveway.
Right.
That can be an issue.
Yeah.
Detergent, that goes to the storm drain, that goes straight in the bayou. Quality of water.
So it's a lot to it.
And I bring that up, and because Dustin, you brought that up several times about the grass clippings, and I think Dan, you did too, and several things that can go in the, you know. So my point is, it's about awareness, and we have to try to continue to get that message out.
The public education.
Making people aware of the things that can cause the drainage system to not work right, correctly. You know, so that's kind of what I was bringing on. Also, I wanted to thank Mr. Leroy. Y'all did a good job so far over Zed Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't get a call yet, and we had several rain events. Matter of fact, I even followed up with the people to see.
Look at the debris on the side of that canal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So a little maintenance too, in some of our canals too, will keep us.
Put it in a trash can and let Republic pick it up.
Thank you. Mr. Broussard?
On Eden Street about a year and a half ago, man, we had 3 foot of water on Eden Street. And man, we had your big suction truck trying to do his job. A guy got there with one of your workers, about that long, a piece of pipe, and dug in there until we took a big old board out of the drain, a couple other pieces. After I showed the neighbors their trash was stopping this whole thing and what was flooding, I had half the neighborhood walking that street. From here on out, we never had trouble at all. They picking up their trash along that street. It's education.
Yep.
You have to show they're all out. What we gonna do? They're griping about the city doing that. I say, look, it's right there. Look at the pile of trash we took out of that drain. And it's been clean ever since. We thank you, Leroy. But a piece of pipe that long kept digging in there, and he took that board out.
Thank you. Dan, something?
Yeah, I would just want to thank Public Works because a lot of time you see now before a big rain, they're out there cleaning it before the rain. But you know, a lot of the drainage, as you mentioned, has like a grate where the grass clippings and leaves can stop it. Some of the drains are open, so they can float down the pipe. So it's really important to identify. I think y'all probably got it pretty close to know what drains has to be cleaned. And I think that was worth everything we had to have that diagram of every drain.
Yeah.
Because, you know, most of the time, I mean, me and the mayor did it during, I guess, election, cleaned up drains
Oh, we did it
during the
since
rain.
then. We did it
we
since
did.
then.
But if you identify that before the rain, then half the problem goes away. So I want to thank y'all because I really have noticed that.
I think that we're better than we've been in the past. I mean, I think it's
It
working a
is.
lot better.
It's working. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Chuck put a program together with
Yeah.
that identifies over 3,000 drains,
That's correct.
and we actually track how we're cleaning them, who's getting clean when, and it's working. The other thing, the money that you allowed me to spend with the police department getting that litter van, that every 2 weeks the court system gives us people who need community service hours, that we added that into this packet to show that we actually had a litter abatement program, because many communities don't. It's a budget litter abatement program, but it's a program. So that is another thing that, you know, we got to factor into this. Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just, real quickly, and I don't want to hold it up, but I want to thank Mr. Leroy. When we first took these seats, I had a complaint near the Rosary House, and we couldn't figure out why it kept flooding in that particular area. And I remember calling up on you, and I don't know if you used the vacuum truck or what you did, but y'all found big, large pieces of cement that was in that drain and things like that. So when people redoing their driveways, or maybe they might have washed the cement truck there and hosed it off, not real sure. We're not gonna point any fingers, but that's another thing that was taken care of, and it removed, it kind of helped alleviate some of the flooding. Thank you, Mr. Leroy, and your department.
Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say I did see some of the your people from Public Works out raking and picking up pine needles, because you know now they're everywhere, and they also go in the drain and clog everything up and all. So it was really nice to see them doing that. And I want to tell our community members to, like, now it's the fall of the year. I mean, you know, it was the fall of the year, it's winter now, but you have leaves everywhere. Do not blow those leaves in the street. Pick them up and put them in a bag, and you won't flood. Flooding will be a whole lot less.
Yeah, but it's hard to stop them. I cleaned up the Friday before. We're supposed to have the Christmas parade Saturday night. And cleaned up Main Street Thursday and Friday. And Friday afternoon, I get a call from my sweeper guy. He says, Leroy, so I just passed down Main Street, cleaned everything. He says, somebody behind me blowing the leaves in the street. So, I mean, it just, you know, can't.
So do we have a letter for that?
Give me the address.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Jimmy Leroy, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Good job. Madam Clerk, item 6.
Public notice. Public notice is hereby given that the new Iberia City Council meeting scheduled for Tuesday, January 1st, 2018 is rescheduled for Wednesday, January 2nd, 2018 in observance of the New Year holiday.
Thank you. Now we move on to item 7.
Dustin Swear to discuss obstruction of natural drains on public and private property and the city's responsibility in connection therewith.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, for letting me put this on the agenda. I think
Sure.
It's the perfect time. We've been talking about drainage for the past 30 minutes to an hour. But the reason why I brought this up was, in some areas of town, a lot of our we're dealing with drainage issues, especially ditches, swells, and a lot of those areas do not have easements. So, therefore, I would like to, wanted to put the word out there that even though some of these areas don't have easements in its natural flow, its natural drainage, that in some cases we have to figure a way out to, I don't want to say anything. You can't take any water and put it on another private property. And I thought it was best if we got with our attorney, Jeff, to mention a lot of the different types of drainage that we do have. We've done a great job just recently on Plantation Drive. There was no easement there. The easement was then put in place. Public Works came in, did the job. Now it's draining successfully. It's all working properly. So I wanted Jeff to kind of bring that up, if it's okay with you guys, to discuss and let us know what are the legality issues behind it. If you flood another person out, who's responsible? Does the city have to come in and make do we enforce this, or is it a civil matter between two adjacent property owners, or therefore whatever? But I would like for Jeff to.
Yeah, we have
chime in.
we have drainage issues that come up in a number of different ways. In Louisiana law, if you have a piece of property that naturally drains onto another piece of property, then there is an easement under law for the benefit of the property that drains onto the other property, and the landowner's not supposed to block that or obstruct that in any way. Now, that happens everywhere because we got water flowing all over this city, and a lot of these places where you see water flow, and it's been doing that for a long time. We're not really involved in policing that, and sometimes we get involved when neighbors call us and ask for a public project to take place. But a lot of these situations where you got one yard draining into another or whatever, that's going on for some time, and that's really a matter between those parties. We sometimes go in and get a drainage easement, which is permission for us to make improvements to property and then to come back and maintain those improvements over time. We like to have a permanent right, so we're not just patching stuff. And we like to do it right the way Mr. Leroy likes to do it. But we get drainage easements, and sometimes we'll come in and take a drainage easement and take responsibility for a project or an area. We were working on one of those today where we had a long-standing natural drainage problem, and the city's going to come in and make some improvements to try to fix it. But we need permission from the landowners. So we get permission from the landowners, we get that in writing and all that. So we have those drainage servitudes. A lot of subdivisions have dedicated drainage easements or areas that are supposed to be for drainage that people shouldn't be blocking up. And we run into problems sometimes with fences. People put up concrete blocks, fences, landscape timbers, all kinds of things to try to keep the water from getting in their yard. And of course, if you move water out of one yard, it goes into another. So we wind up with all those issues. But the city gets involved when it needs to, when there's a public benefit, when there's a public need. There are a lot of situations where we don't. We do have some regulations. We have the stormwater ordinance, which deals with surface, water, and how we control that, and how we control the timing of that in some cases with retention ponds. We also have a lot of drainage canals and coulees in the city and the parish, and the law provides for a drainage easement along the banks of those canals. So sometimes we deny building permits for people who want to build right up against, some of these big drainage canals. So we do have a role in regulation. We have a role in the ordinance. We have our own drainage servitudes. But, one typical situation, one neighbor draining on another, that's usually a private matter. Okay.
Dusty, you got anything else?
Any
No,
questions?
I appreciate Jeff for clearing that up, just to put it out there to the public to let them know, what are their options when it comes down to that. So that's why I put this on the agenda.
Okay.
So thank you.
Good. Open the floor for any questions, comments, Dan?
Jeff, way back when the parish had a mosquito control program in-house, and they would go on private property and drain water for mosquito protection or
Source
for
reduction.
Source reduction. That's the
Those are the
term.
magic words.
That was the
Okay.
magic words.
But legally, some reason it seemed like we had projects done in the city through that program. And because it was called source reduction, that's why you were able to go on the property? Or because you would try to get rid of water because of the mosquitoes?
Well, we passed a mosquito control tax years ago throughout the city and parish. And the tax provided for money to be spent on source reduction. So that's why the magic words were important. If you could classify something as a source reduction project, then you could pay for it with mosquito control money. And we had a lot of projects that were done, and some of those were done with just permits or permission or something without a permanent easement. And they go and they do some stuff that we really can't go back and fix later on, so that's been a problem.
It has.
But the mosquito control program allowed the mosquito control money to be used for things that you and I look at and think of as drainage. But the idea was you're removing water that mosquitoes grow in, so it was source reduction.
But we're kind of doing the same thing now because we're using mosquito control money for drainage now. So that same funding could be doing what you just said to relieve water on private property. But the difference is that we make sure there's an easement for future cleaning That's really the difference?
Well, I mean, we want to spend public money for a public purpose.
And a greater good.
You know, and
Public
if you're
good.
getting rid of mosquitoes, that's a public purpose. If you're getting rid of flooding, that's a public purpose. So, yeah, I mean, it's all related. Now, the mosquito control, I think they still use a certain amount of money for mosquito control efforts,
Right.
and then the rest is, you know, source reduction or pay to the city and parish. But part of our efforts have been through mosquito control money. Part of the efforts have been through just regular public works drainage efforts,
Yeah.
which has been, you know, been an issue
Yeah.
since this city was formed.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Broussard.
Dustin, I'm glad you brought this up because we all get calls like that. What I'm gonna do with this neighbor, he's drained all over my property. I bet you once every 2 or 3 weeks, I get a call. I don't know how to answer that. Tell them we can't go on private property. I'm glad you brought that up. We need to tell the public, just with the lawyer saying, you're responsible. You don't have to fight your own battles with your neighbor, more or less. You know, that's what I've been trying to tell them. Dig a ditch to the street if y'all can, like I got on both sides of my house. That lady built my house, so I bought it from her. And she put it up about a foot higher than the rest of the properties. I put a ditch on each side of my little yard, did not drain me, to drain the neighbor's yards. So I'm glad you brought this up, so some of the people seeing this might understand our predicament.
Dan brought it up, you know, mosquito control did go in and do some work on the property that we were talking about this morning. But there's no documentation, like Jeff was saying. There's no easements, nothing. So you go to pull it up to try and get something done, there's nothing on there. So you gotta start over from scratch. So that was another reason why I put this up on the agenda, because, you know, starting back from square one, after work was done, I don't really know, I wasn't here that long, Dan, no offense.
I know exactly what's
Yeah. So, you know, there was nothing documented at all.
Right.
So now we're starting over. So.
That's it. Good discussion. Good discussion. Now we move on to councilman remarks. I'll start on your end. Natalie?
Miss Bo.
I don't have anything
Oh.
except Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I may or may not be at the first meeting of the year. I didn't realize we were rescheduling, and I have plans to be with my godchildren in Texas. So
All right.
we'll see.
Thank you. Rob?
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody. It's been a great year because we won't meet until
Next year.
I think we've accomplished a lot as a council. Individually and collectively, we accomplished a lot. And again, like I told y'all for Thanksgiving, take a break. Take a break, because I know this gets tough sometime. But hey, look, we signed up for it, and I believe that we're all built for this challenge. So again, enjoy your holidays, and I'll see y'all next year.
Thank you. Mr. Broussard?
We got a very important meeting coming up Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Iberia Middle School on Weeks Island Road. Thursday night, 6 p.m. It's about, they call them flap gates, floodgates, whatever you want to call it, on the other side of the 4-lane. They want the parish is talking about doing this. It's in the, the very beginning. But they have a meeting explaining all this, how it might affect the city. If it does, I'm right there on the commercial canal. That's where they can put the flap gates. And the Weeks Island Road, they've already had flooding across the 4-lane. So will it affect us by coming up a foot more? It'll be in my house. So in a big way, it's very important. We have, I'm kind of wonder why they put it the last week of the year. But if we all can show up, it means a lot to the city, Mr. Mayor. And Mayor Pro Tem. This will be a big meeting with the whole parish council and the parish president.
Thank you.
So I think it's very serious to be at that meeting to see what they're all talking about.
Thank you, sir. Dan?
Yeah, I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And remember, we have a few more days that you can shop locally and give us some more tax dollars, because they really have some stores, that kind of new stores. So try to stay local and spend tax dollars, and we can go ahead and give that money back to you in a different way to better this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, have a nice Christmas, everybody. It's just a serious thing that's coming up the last week that affected a lot of people. So
All right.
it's got to go on.
Thank you.
I do also want to wish everybody a happy holiday season. And if you have nothing to do on Saturday night, you are invited to a Christmas party at the Hampton Inn, 8 to 12. The admission is $25, and it's a 70s old school Christmas party, and dress to impress. So I hope to see you there. Happy holidays again.
Thank you. Sheriff.
I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And there are some of us that are without family members maybe, or some people that are homeless. I want us to keep that in mind during these holiday seasons. Also too, I just wanted to quickly give out a crisis support service hotline for those that are alone and have no one to talk with, or going through a stressful time, or maybe even lost recently a loved one, or going through any type of depression or grief. 1-800-273-8255. Also to the new chapter, Push is giving a toy drive on December the 21st. They're asking for all children to come out on December the 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. They're going to try to give out as many wrap toys as possible. They're really also targeting parents that are incarcerated or deceased. This again is going to be held at the Steamboat Pavilion December the 21st from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you need more information concerning it, you can contact Reverend Wilford Johnson at 256-6856. And again, this is called the Caroling on the Tish. They're also going to be on the same night a raffle for a smart TV. And again, Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for starting on that end, because now it's on this end.
You were supposed to
all,
start on this end this time.
All the votes are closed now for the one wearing the tackiest Christmas outfit tonight, so I think I might have got that one in the ad, the catch in the ad.
Cat Daddy.
Yeah, on a serious note, City Park is registering now for youth basketball ages 5 through 12. The league begins in January. If you have any questions or you need some info on that, please call the park at 369-2337. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I myself, I don't believe I might not be here for the first meeting, but we'll see what happens. But I want to thank these past 2 years. We've had our ups and downs. It's awesome being a part of this council. We've seen a lot of good things happen and take place. From anywhere from starting a PD to actually getting close to a balanced budget. Actually a balanced budget. And Mr. Dahl mentioned it. How long it's been? 6, 7 years? 8. So hey. Okay, I'm glad you can remember it. So I just want to thank all of you. We've been doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to 2 more years and hopefully more serving our community. So thanks again, and everyone have a good night.
Thank y'all. Justin said everything I was going to say, so I don't need to. Just Merry Christmas, and I can't thank y'all all enough. Y'all know what this means to me and to all of you, and we got it going on. We just got to keep moving. I'm excited for next year. I really think we got a lot of good things happening and good things coming. That's it. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
We're gone.